Those dark Scandinavian weirdos.
Hello and welcome to episode 75 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me as usual is John Denton.
What is love?
Every week John and I go through the 10 games we've been playing over the past 7 days. Number 10s are the games we played the least. Number 1s are the games we played the most. That is it, John. Let's do this.
Starting strong. Coin Dozer, iOS.
Oh, yeah.
Free. One of my freebies just to fill out the list on the free app list, whatever you call it. I don't care. Coin Dozer. You know those games in the arcade where you stick the coin in and they shuffle the coins along that look amazing when you're 5 years old. It's that. It's just as pointlessly shit as those things, but more so because it costs more money. It's free, but the whole idea is that you put your own money into it to try and get more coins to drop down, and more pointless because obviously you can't win any money or little snacks or whatever the fuck, or watch, whatever the hell is supposed to be in those things. Even after 3 minutes, I just turned it off and deleted it straight away. I don't know why I downloaded it. I don't know what. Some part of me thought it was going to be good.
But I mean, how did you come across that? That's like years old.
Oh, is it?
Coindozer used to drive me insane because my girlfriend, who's she knows what she's talking about, she could not stop playing that, and I'd always look over and be like, "What are you doing, Coindozer? Just tapping a screen." Honestly, it used to drive me insane. But
no way.
How did you just?
It's just it's on the free games. It's like number 12 or 13 or something. And I knew what the top 10 was, like Simpsons, Tapped Out, and Clash of Clans, all that normal shit. Temple Run. So that was the first one I hadn't heard of that looked all right. I mean, it didn't look all right, but I thought, why not?
Wow, I can't believe people are still downloading that crap.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You're part of the problem. Okay, all right. Well, my number 10 is an Xbox Live indie game called Dawn of the Fred.
I saw this.
Oh, did you really?
I've got a few XBlig this week.
Oh, right. So you didn't play this one?
No. I had a feeling that you were going to.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's new in the last 7 days, so it was at the top of the XBlig marketplace. The first thing that comes up is a question, some kind of question like, do you want to take on the undead and see if you can live to tell the tale? And I was like, well, not really. I could really do without taking on any more undead as long as I live, thanks. It's a top-down co-op shooter. It's actually not too bad. You kill zombies, waves of zombies, and they drop gems, and you have to avoid these mummies, which are really hard. So there's a little bit of strategy involved, but there are some fairly decent ideas in it to sort of embellish the co-op a little bit. So there's vending machines, and you can buy either health or ammo once a round, and only one of you can do it. So you have to communicate and make sure. There are other vending machines, but getting to them is often deadly. So it's actually quite well thought out, and it's only 80 Microsoft points, supports full-player co-op. It's just another game where you kill waves of zombies, and those can just go fuck themselves at the moment. I need a break from that shit.
Yeah, no doubt.
But this is not a bad game, by any stretch of the imagination.
Who's Fred? Is he the guy that you play as?
The main character, yeah. Yeah, and then there's some other people or some shit, I don't know. But yeah, it's honestly, it's as far as those things go, it's not a bad one at all.
Do you reckon Shaun of the Dead was ever called Dawn of the Fred at one point?
I don't think. Well,
could have been.
I have nothing to say to that. I have no idea.
Think about it.
All right, we'll do.
Right, my number 9 XBlig game as well is Action Arcade Wrestling 2. Pretty sure that's what it's called. Could be called anything, to be honest. Yeah. On the new Xbox Live indie game list, same deal as you finding Dawn of the Fred. Thought wrestling game, this can't be bad. Nah, I was wrong. Yeah, it's very bad. Very, very bad. You pick. It seems to be designed for people who let me go back. I used to love wrestling, as you know, but I really loved it when I was about 16. So like 15 years ago, whatever. And this was around the time when WWF Warzone was coming out, and the whole big thing back then was having like edit modes and creator wrestlers and all this sort of stuff. It was around the time where people were starting to understand the fakeness of wrestling and getting into the backstage stuff and how it worked. Anyway, this game has clearly been made by people who are of that mindset and have still carried it through. So straight away, even in the trial, there's like an edit mode and a ton of options when you pick which match type you want. It's like a fucking page of options that you can pick. Why though? Because the game is utter shit. utter shit. Basically unplayable. Makes Pacific Rim look like the new UFC game that's coming out next year. It's two guys having a fucking wrestle, strong grapple, light grapple. You know, you've played a wrestling game before, but they don't. When they circle the ring, they don't look at each other. So I thought when they're facing each other in the middle of the ring, I thought, well, this is terrible, but it's okay. But then as I walked up and the other guy walked down, we were both just facing in completely different directions, and I thought, pretty bad. And then it's 240 points, not 80. So get fucked.
Can it support 4-player local?
I think it might be able to. But it's just, you can't play it. So, yeah, don't do it. Buy a SmackDown game for £1 from CEX, an old one, and do that instead. All
right. Well, I might look into that because, I don't know.
Oh, it's bad.
Is it, though? I don't know. I'm so much more forgiving of those. I mean, it must be so... I've seen games that I know people would just immediately not give... How long did you play it just for the duration of the trial?
Yeah. I played one match.
Oh, okay.
It operates the same sort of system as SmackDown, where you do different variety of moves and you build up a meter and then you can do a finisher. You know, it's admirable. I couldn't do it, but it kind of made me feel like I was going to vomit.
Okay, yeah, a lot of those games will do that to you. I might look at that one though, just out of interest.
All right.
Okay, my number 9 is A Ride into the Mountains on iOS.
Oh, you went back to it?
I did, yeah. We spoke briefly about it last week. We thought we had a problem. I had a problem, I should say, remembering where the guy... It's made by one guy, and I forgot where he was from. He's actually from Taiwan. Taiwan. And yeah, it's a very good action game. We didn't mention either. There's actually quite a nice story, very simple story about a young boy. He's riding his horse up into these mountains, and he keeps taking breaks to ponder his journey, and then he learns new skills.
That's right, yeah.
And it's actually the longer you play it, the better it gets. I had intended to finish it because it's one of the way the story's delivered. I kind of think part of the reason it's been so revered by people like Terry Kavanagh is that it's building to something. There's clearly a story of what's going on. I wasn't able to complete it because, god damn, it gets hard. I mean, it gets really hard. At first I thought, oh god, difficulty spike, but then another one, and another one, and another one. The bosses are so difficult. So it's not... It didn't frustrate me, but it was way too time consuming for me to finish. But hopefully I'll finish it next week, and I still recommend it. 69p. It's genuinely just the mechanics of pulling the bow back, hitting the focus, and then it's tight, very very tight controls. And genuinely challenging. I still recommend it, but I haven't finished it, so I'll speak about it again next week, probably.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go back to it, unfortunately, but I will do. It's still on the phone, so yeah, that's a recommendation from me, to be honest.
Yeah, genuine.
Yeah, Ride into the Hills.
That's right.
Right, my number 8 is Every Extend Extra Extreme, a game that I've completely forgotten existed. Did you know about this game?
Me too. Isn't that like an Xbox Live Arcade game from like a long time ago?
It is, yeah. I was just doing the whole thing where you go through your list of games, and I remember playing it quite a lot when I lived with a mutual friend of ours, one of the guys who played that Pain Station with you, Tom. It's a Misoguchi game, so that was the reason I bought it in the first place. It's basically pointless, but it's strangely compelling nonetheless. What happens is you play as basically a crosshair. I think it's actually a ship, but whatever. And then a bunch of stuff comes in from all 4 corners of the screen. It's like a flat Geometry Wars style deal, and then you're invulnerable to that stuff for 2 seconds, and then you're not. So as soon as you become vulnerable, you have the opportunity to press A, and that blows you up basically and creates a wave, and then the idea is to get that wave to hit all the debris around you, and then that will cause a chain reaction, and if you get it right, you can make an explosion that goes on for ages and ages and ages, and that starts to create music. And like the first little things will just be a little and then the more baddies that fall into the explosion start to play proper tunes. Not tunes, but like actual instruments. It sounds a bit like when you're mashing a button in Res. And yeah, it's strangely compelling. And then when the explosion dies down, you stop, and then you pick up a few power-ups and you do it again, and you can play it for ages in the main mode. It's cool. It's a cool game. If it was like available for 69p or something, which I don't think it is, I would recommend it. And if they made a new version for some reason that looked really nice, as this did when it came out, it doesn't anymore. Again, it's cool. I'll always support The Miz, but I don't think I'll ever play it again.
Yeah, I remember when that game came out, there was so much buzz about it, and then I played the trial, and I was like, "That's rubbish." It really wound me up. I think I probably played it more than once, and it was it. Oh God knows how much it was, 800, I suppose. But I remember thinking there was no way I could take a gamble on it. So
yeah, I remember I lost a few hours to it with Tom back in the day, but it was an exercise in just emptiness, really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I've never had any desire. I'd completely forgotten about that game, and I've got no desire to check it out again.
Yeah, it just shows how old the Xbox is.
Yeah, really, I was thinking.
That's old as shit.
Yeah, if you were living with Tom, that's ages ago. Christ.
Yeah, that's before I met my wife. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
This at the pre-YouTube days as well.
Okay, right. So don't check it out then.
Unless it's free, super cheap, or you want to. I don't know. Just do what you want.
All right. Okay, we'll do. Noted. All right. Okay, my number 8 is actually 3 games in one. It's
Mad Dog McCree.
No, unfortunately not. I've smushed them all together just to make it easier. Super Street Fighter 2 HD Remix, Street Fighter 3 Online Edition, and Super Street Fighter 4. I was at a mate's house, Fraser. I haven't seen him in a while, and he rarely gets. He's got a family, and he doesn't have time to game anymore. So I brought round all of my games, and we ended up playing all 3 of the Street Fighter games. And it's really weird seeing them in close proximity like that. It's really...
yeah, I've never done that.
It's kind of enlightening. I mean, it's, the first one, ingenious, but it's mild and quite accessible. And then it goes to a game that's really rigid and involved and deep. And then Street Fighter 4, which is somehow both of those things at the same time. It was really interesting playing all 3 of them in close proximity like that. I still think that Super Street Fighter 4, it only sort of proved to me that Street Fighter 4 is just the perfect one. The second one's a little bit too. It's not too accessible. It's a little too mild. The third one with the parry system is just too involved.
Yeah, I can understand why people saying that's the best, but
if you can master that parry system, I could. Yeah, me too. But the fact that Super Street Fighter 4 is still accessible and it offers things like that as well. It can be that game if you want it to be. It's just incredible. So yeah,
every time I talk about it, I want to play it.
Yeah, I mean it was great. I mean we played on pads though, which was just yeah. I didn't bring my my sticks around, but yeah, just great fun. Street Fighter's good, however you like it.
Yeah, they're doing the new one, aren't they? But we're going to be next gen up by then, aren't we?
Yeah, that's fair. It's probably going to arrive at the end of the next hardware cycle.
What, the 5? You mean?
Yeah, 5. Oh, you're talking about the Hyper Street Fighter 4. The new characters.
Called? Yeah, with the Hugo and shit.
Yeah. No, that's like early next year.
Next year, is it?
Yeah, but there is talk of Street Fighter 5, but there's no point in even getting into that because it's probably nonsense.
For real. Talking of Street Fighter, here's a nice segue. My next game is called Boss. I picked it because of the box art, which is a guy in a folded over trilby over his face with a couple of ladies on each arm, a lady on each arm, and I thought it was just going to be about some like nightclub sleaze face, which sounded amazing, but it's not. He's actually, if I'm looking at it again, the ladies are dressed in like 20s outfits, and he's dressed like someone of that time as opposed to someone trying to be a trendy prick. And it's a complete different game to what I thought it was going to be. It's actually quite a well realised and stylish hybrid of tower defence and a light gun game, but you have to use a cursor obviously instead of a light gun. You've got a house on the right. Enemies come from the left. It's really, really simple. They walk up to your house. If they get near it, they start attacking it, and you've got a cursor and a gun, and you shoot them. It's not a complicated game, but I kind of admired it because, one, it was stylish, nice fonts. The music was the entertainer plays the whole time on the piano, which it was cool. And
what's the entertainer? Right, okay, yeah.
So that's playing the whole time on like a jingly old Western saloon-style piano, and you're just popping these dudes in the head as they come. God knows why. After each round, you've got money and you can upgrade your house. You can put a little guy that sells liquor out the front, and he comes out every now and again. And you get more money for him doing that. I admired it because it didn't overreach its station. God, that's a terrible sentence. Do you know what I mean by that, though? It didn't. It sort of played to its strengths. The guy obviously didn't have a great deal of programming knowledge, obviously no budget, so he focused on making something that felt coherent and complete, even though it wasn't particularly ambitious. And I actually thought it was quite cool. It was only 80 points as well. I'm not. If you could play it with a light gun, it would actually be pretty good fun, especially as it gets harder and the guys start running to your house quite quickly. But as it is, you're not going to play it. But I still thought, yeah, fair play to you. It's stylish.
Oh right, when you said Cursor, I assumed it was a PC game.
Oh no, sorry, it's an Xbox Live indie game.
Indie game, right? Okay, I think I might have seen that, and it might be on my hard drive actually.
Yeah, the box art it's a winner.
Yeah, no, I mean the guy that Silver Dollar Games, the guys that made One Finger Death Punch, they always say we just play to our strengths, don't expect anything elaborate. But by repeatedly doing that, they've ended up with fucking One Finger Death Punch. So
yeah.
I appreciate that as well. So I might. That's another one. I'll almost certainly look at it because it's probably on my hard drive. Okay, my number 7 is FIFA 13 on the Xbox 360. I played it on Fraser's house.
I thought that might come next.
His desire to see everything that I had on my hard drive quickly turned into playing the old Switcheroo for several hours while having a drink. I mentioned it a million times before, but the old Switcheroo is the only way to play football games. You play half each. You flummox the guy you're playing against online. It is perfect. It's just brilliant fun. We both saw something. Bearing in mind how many hours Fraser's played that game, and I dread to think how many it is. We both saw something happen that we'd never seen. Our striker just like sprinting along the wing and then just sort of basically grabbed his leg and collapsed. He'd pulled a muscle and then the opponent kicked the ball off, and I was like, oh, that's a bit weird, I'd never seen that, and neither had he, and I was like, that's vaguely interesting, I suppose. I still think what you thought about it is too fast. I think Pro Evo's got the perfect balance. But I really enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. Apart from, there was one thing that just was terrible. There's a football team called Borussia Dortmund. That's right. For some reason, Fraser had a hard-on for that team, and we kept playing as them online, and it was fair enough. They were quite good. But then we faced off against a guy who was also them, and their away kit and their home kit are both yellow. So it was the most nightmarishly frustrating thing I've ever played in my life, and we were screaming at each other just like... Because when you weren't playing, you could kind of see the vague difference in shading, but just a bit of advice, if you're playing FIFA, don't pick that team, because if you go up against them, you're in for a fucking hell of a lot of stress. But yeah, FIFA 13, it's fun. I was drunk. Who cares?
I'm looking forward to the new footy games now.
Yeah, big
next-gen FIFA and this-gen Pro Evo 14, the new videos that have come out this week that make Pro Evo look fucking amazing, even though it's still current gen, the new animation system. So, yeah, we'll be excited about that, definitely.
Yeah, no doubt.
No doubt. All right. The big game for my number 6, Blood and Bacon.
Oh, I played this a few weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah, you didn't talk about it, did you?
No, because I can't be bothered to. Ex-Blig first-person shooters are just everywhere.
Yeah.
Although that seemed like quite a decent one as far as they go. It's had online co-op and shit.
Yeah, did you actually play it?
I did. I played it until the end of the troll, and it was actually...
Okay. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
You go around a farm shooting pigs, hence the Blood and Bacon, but the second level there's like skeleton pigs, and it's at night, and you can shoot their heads off and they start chasing you with no head. And the whole game is narrated by a farmer who's stuck to a wall with a pitchfork and he hasn't got a leg and he's like bleeding out. It kind of reminded me of the head, the head in the washing machine in Killer 7 that kept appearing, the disembodied head.
Yeah.
Just really weird. The gameplay itself was perfectly functional. It doesn't have the option to invert your ups and downs, which is a bit of a pain in the ass for me, but I got the skills, I managed it. You don't. It's one of those games, it's like, you're not going to actually pay for it and play it, but well done for making it, I guess. And I like the fact it was weird.
Yeah, and that was my attitude. I had nothing to say about it because it is another first-person shooter on Xblig that uses Call of Duty controls, and you're just killing waves of enemies. I mean, I remember thinking the farmer was quite neat, and there is quite a cool bit when the whole thing goes dark and you're trying to fight your way back to the warehouse in the dark, which was quite neat. And it is 2-player online co-op. I'm almost certain. I'm pretty sure that's right. It's more. Is it 400 or 240 or something? It's more expensive.
I think it's 240. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I just didn't have it. I've played so many fucking games like that. I just couldn't be bothered to talk about it.
I haven't. I think that's the first shooter I played on Xbox indie games, actually.
Oh, right. Okay. All right, well, next time you check some out, I'll give you one that's actually worth playing, because there are a handful of ones that are better than that one. Okay, my number 6 is BioShock Infinite on the PC. My younger brother, who's the hilariest person you'll ever meet, has been giving me... He's got a brand new gaming PC, and I've been getting grief. I mean, just non-stop grief about how shit consoles are. And
is he Larry than you?
He's like me times 2 with more energy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he's just giving me smack, and all I get is, you've got to try this, you've got to try this. So he's downloaded the new DLC. I forget what it's called. It's
Clash in the Clouds, is it?
It's just waves of enemies.
Yeah.
Are they charging for that, or is it free?
It's a $5.
Okay. All right. Well, that seems quite possible from what I could tell.
Yeah. Well, obviously, it's part of your season pass.
Of course. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, he sat me down at his PC. I haven't controlled a first-person shooter on a mouse and keyboard since.
Oh, he's playing it on mouse and keys, is he?
I was going to go and get a pad, but I thought I might as well try this as it was intended. And yeah, at first it was a bit shaky, but after a while I was like, wow, I could really get into this. I mean, everyone, it goes without saying that it's a faster and more responsive way to play it, but it did start to win me over by the end of it. And the longer, it looks stunning on the PC.
Yeah.
I don't know what spec is. I don't know about all that shit, so I don't know whether it was running at top whack or whatever, but it did look so much better than it does on the 360.
Yeah, it does.
And while it was really enjoyable. I mean, I always loved the combat in Bioshock Infinite, so doing waves of enemies is actually, bearing in mind how fed up of doing that I am, in Bioshock Infinite, I was like, wow, this is really slick, really nice. And then there's all these provisos. You win ribbons by like only doing skyhook kills, or there's all these. It's all standard, all old, all been done before. But the combat's good. That it sort of it won me over. It did briefly make me think, only briefly, but I was just like, consoles are pretty idiotic, aren't they? I mean, like, what's the point in going out and shelling out £400 for something when you've got something that's always going to be superior, but it's always going to end up costing you more money in the sort of. I don't know. For a minute, I saw why people play PC games, but I had fun. Anyway, it was great.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with you on the PC thing. However, I reviewed 2 games in the last week. I talked about them last week, didn't I? Saints Row, which I'll talk about later, and the Bureau, which I'm not going to talk about. Saints Row I've just played, yeah. It crashed a few times, but I just played it. The Bureau, I think I probably paused it 30 times to fiddle with the graphics settings, and I will do that on any big... I can see me doing that on any big PC game that's a proper chunky game, not a 2D or whatever. And that's why I will always prefer to play those types of games on consoles, I think.
Yeah. I'm sorry, no, go on.
I was going to say, but I mean, on the flip side, you've got all the mod stuff that you can do, and like the way Skyrim is now with all the modding's amazing. And have you seen that Iron Man mode on GTA 4?
No.
That you can basically play GTA 4 as Iron Man and fly up in the sky and pick people up and fire lasers out of your hands and stuff, just all from modding. It looks fucking awesome. So all that stuff's amazing. There's 2 sides to the argument, definitely, but I'm happy to have a decent gaming PC. Not crazy good, but very good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've heard all about some Skyrim mod that's come out that's like 5 million gig, and it's the best thing that's ever happened and everything. Because that's all I've had in my ear all week.
Right.
But yeah, just for that moment, I thought it's so silly to wait for. I mean, because the current gen of consoles, needless to say, can't run what I was looking at.
No.
And it's debatable whether the next generation are going to. So I was just like, why am I waiting? Why don't I just buy a fucking... It's more like an investment because you have to keep fucking upgrading it, and that's just so much of a ball. Like, I want a box, I want to put it under the TV, and I want to fucking leave it there for 6 years, and then I'll get another one. But yeah, anyway, it was good to play. Mouse and keyboard. I absolutely understand why people who are into that never go back to pads, because it's different kettle of fish.
No doubt. No doubt. All right, is it me?
It is, yeah.
Number 5, a bit of Mount Your Friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just thought I'd have a go. Saw it there. I tried to play online, in fact. Very few people online, but managed to get a couple of games going. People are really good at Mount Your Friends.
Yeah, I know. They really are.
Like, I was just getting smashed, to be honest. I never thought I was good. I haven't really played it that much, but they were kind of sort of hurling themselves up the thing, and I didn't even really know how to do that. And I think they were just getting kind of frustrated with me trying to waddle over towards the goat and slowly creep my way up the pack. There's talk of a competition later, isn't there? Later in the year around Eurogamer time. If it doesn't end up happening, we'll talk about it and make sure if people want to come down and play, if they're about.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to do very well, judging by how good people are who are playing online. But the game's amazing.
It doesn't take that long to get good. The only danger with flinging yourself up up like that is it's so easy. The amount of time, actually, me and Fraser played that for a bit as well. I didn't mention it, but we played that for a little bit. The danger, and I've seen it happen. I can't tell you how many times they'll be working their way up, and just at the last minute they'll miss something. I mean, that's fine if you're doing it at the beginning of the countdown, but if you're towards the end. I've seen so many people stitch themselves up like that. We've started doing something really snide, which is building the sort of in an L shape, sort of curving it round over to the opponent's side, so they have to kind of work their way under. And people don't seem to sort of try and remedy that. They just go on top, which is a bit snide of us. But yeah, good, it's still good. I mean, I reckon that would really work in an environment where there's loads of people, a load of beer. Just I think it would make a really good competitive game to watch.
Definitely, and the music.
Yeah, it's good.
The music.
I think there'd be. I might try and think. It'd be good to make our own soundtrack. I wonder what music would go really well. I mean, because
like power ballads and
and like really, really, really OTT movie scores and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually. Talking about your friends, actually, it's on Steam Greenlight. So if you're out there and you like Mount Your Friends, make sure you go and vote for it so they end up on Steam. So they deserve it. Does that
involve money? Steam Greenlight? I don't know what that is.
What that is right. This is the John Denton explanation of it, so it's probably wrong. It's a thing where you can put you have to pay £100, and then you can put your game that you're trying to make into a forum / community / can't think of a third word of games that might end up on Steam. And if enough people vote for them as a game, I want to see this game on Steam, then it'll end up on Steam. And then obviously it can be being on Steam's a big deal for an indie game, obviously. Because Valve curate that. It's not, you can't just shove your game on Steam. So people put their game on Greenlight, and then if enough people vote for it, but like I said, it will end up on Steam, and then inevitably in Steam sales. And I think I'd love to know the stats for the difference between having your game on, if it was PC, not on Steam compared to on Steam. But I'd imagine it's sort of thousands of % more profitable to have it on there than not. So go and vote for that shit. If you have a Steam account, you can just go and vote for stuff on Greenlight. Yeah,
it's a hell of a game. Really is.
Yes.
Okay, my number 5 is the wonderful 101 on the Nintendo Wii U. The wonderful 101. The demo, yeah. Have you not played the demo?
No, I was umming and ahhing about it. I'm definitely going to get the game, so I decided against it.
Yeah, it's a foregone conclusion that I'm getting it, so I don't know why. I think I'm just that eager to play it again.
Yeah, sure.
I spoke about it months ago when I played it at Nintendo, and this demo is the same stretch of game, but the boss battle that I did, it cuts off before that happens. With the wicked boss battle with all the planes flying around and stuff. When it came up, it said 15 uses, like it does on the 3DS, saying you can only play this 15 times, and then it's... I didn't realise they did that on the Wii U. Is that the first time? I haven't downloaded many demos, I guess.
I don't know if I've downloaded any demos on Wii U, so I don't know.
Yeah, I might be. Yeah, that might be something that's been there since the start. I don't know. Despite the fact that I've played this game before twice, this exact segment of it took me at least 5 minutes, maybe more than 5 minutes, to try and understand what the fuck was going on. I was really starting to get frustrated with it because it's so... I mean, obviously you've seen it running. It's mental. It's mental. What am I looking at? Where's my character? What is going in? I mean, it's madness. After a while, it all makes some kind of sense and everything is right with the world. It's platinum goodness. The most important thing, which you learn really quickly, is parrying by turning into a jelly. There's bosses that you have to do that, and that was really satisfying. It's just platinum fucking doing what they do. It's just shaping up amazingly. The longer the demo goes on, they force you to use the tools in different ways. Like you can sort of turn your guys into like a ladder and stuff, and then you go. It's just fucking clever. I'm just like, I can't wait to play it. It's not 100% gold. And I don't know whether this is going to be different for the finished game because I don't remember it being an issue when I played it months ago, but the screen recognition was really quite bad. You draw a straight line to create a sword, you draw a circle to make a fist, and you draw an L shape to bring it to change it to a gun. It was often pot luck, I have to say. There were sometimes when I'd draw what was so clearly a straight line and it'd bring the gun up, and I'd be like, how is that possible? I'm hoping it's a bug with the demo because I never had any issues. The part of the appeal, part of what made it so impressive when I played it all those months ago was like it really worked. Doing those things really quickly, panicked, and it always worked. But hopefully that wasn't me just getting lucky. But God, I mean, the game's just it's platinum. What do you want?
I want it. I want to play it.
Exactly. Well, we will hope so. I mean, it's out like imminently, isn't it? Next week?
Next Friday, I believe.
Fair play. All right. Well, yeah, that'll be.
August, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy August.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I want that shit.
Likewise.
Bad. Right, sweet. My number 4 is Papers, Please on PC. I didn't get to play as much as I'd have liked. I started playing it today, in fact, and then I realised that what I was playing is the same as the beta. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to get past where I got to in the beta today, so I'll stop. But going back to it, I was like, fucking hell, this is really something, man. The music, the tone of the whole thing. I really like I know you've been playing it as well, so I'm assuming it's on your list. Mm-hmm. Even just the sort of the malleable way that you drag the little passport onto your desk and move it about. We should rewind quickly, actually. If you don't know what the game is, I have only talked about it once. It is a game where you play as a border control officer in a made-up Eastern Bloc / Russian state called Arstotska, something? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Done in like a really lo-fi graphical style, and it should, by all common and sensible reasoning, be boring. The subject matter is, you're playing as a menial job that no one would ever like to do. But a combination of the fact that it's the people who are coming to your window have their own stories to tell, and you have to turn people away. They might be begging to get through all this sort of stuff, other stuff that happens, and the fact that you're processing people to get money to be able to pay for your family, to have food and heating so they don't get sick and stuff. And I need to get past where I was in the beta now to really know how the rest of the game turns out. But very happy to have paid £6 for it on Steam.
Yeah. It's my number 3, but I might as well talk about it now. I played it for several hours yesterday, and I've basically played. Apparently, there's 20 endings.
Okay.
Some of those endings can be reached very quickly if you just keep screwing up. But I've seen 2 endings now. And it's really, really quite something, and quite unusual. And I think the best thing about it is that it's almost completely unmanipulative. There is a couple of instances where you're clearly supposed to feel something, and you pointed one out when you last spoke about it. I won't repeat it because knowing that was coming was kind of ruined it a little bit.
Sure.
But by and large, it doesn't manipulate you, and most of the thoughts and sort of the way I've reflected upon it was not during the game. It made other video games that have sort of like choices and stuff seem so trite and sort of callous. Like I never thought when I turned the game off and sort of I lay in bed there for ages thinking about all the things that it made me think of the Milgram experiment.
What's that?
I mean, you almost certainly know what it is. They spoof it at the beginning of Ghostbusters. It was done in the 60s in America, where they'd have members of the public come in, and a doctor would tell them to keep administering electric shocks to people.
Sure, I know this one. I just didn't know the name of it. Yeah.
And it was actors performing, but they thought they were basically eventually administering fatal electric shocks. Anyone who watches that footage, and it's on YouTube, and it's horrendous to watch. Would say I'd never do that. I could never do that. But after a while, after playing it for a little while, I started to just be like, the second somebody would plead with me or give me any kind of I've lost my admittance slip, or I haven't got this, or I was like bullshit, get out of my face, fuck it. And at first, it's weird when you press the buzzer, the shutter comes down, and then they get marched off. But after a while, when there was no other, I was just like, and it's what's really weird about that is that I was always thinking, I'm not going to fuck over my family for you. And the family, I was expecting maybe a little picture of your family on the desk or phone calls from your wife. They don't even have names. They come up at the end, wife, uncle, son, sick, hungry. There's nothing for you to emote with them. So it's weird that my natural reaction was to just think, I'm not going to screw it. I accepted a bribe as well. And the more I thought about it, I was like, I've turned into the kind of shithead I never thought I'd be.
Yeah.
But there's loads of things that I found myself instinctively doing that the game didn't force me. And the game, like I said, the game's not manipulative. There are a couple of moments where you're supposed to either feel sorry for somebody or you're supposed to give them a little bit more time. You know, that happens once or twice, I think. By and large, I think it would be really interesting to see what people have done and how they'd reacted to certain situations. I think that data could be really interesting, just as because it does allow you to treat it however you feel, you know. And there's the plot goes. I won't say anything about where it goes, but it basically takes you in several different directions, all involving. There's an underground. I don't want to say much about it because I just think everyone should play it. I mean, when I finished playing it for. It's probably about 3 or 4 hours. I feel like telling my dad to play this. My dad doesn't even watch films. He's no interest in anything like this. But there is something so, and just as a game, the way it sort of it gets harder, and you're managing the space on your desk with all this clutter and shit that people keep giving you, and then it's a fucking clever game. But the stuff that goes on in the background is just it's just thought provoking, hugely thought provoking. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody, if you have a PC that can run it, which is, if you have a PC that's on the internet, it can almost certainly run it.
Yeah.
It's just a fascinating experience, and I'm going to play it another couple of times at least.
So when you get one ending, do you have to start again at the beginning to?
You can go back any number of because it has. If say you whatever happens in your ending happens on day 9, you can go back to day 8, or you can go back to day 8. A lot of the time. The cards fall early, so if you start fucking up and you start making the wrong decisions, you can't write them by going only back a couple of days. You have to go back slightly further. For such a grim game, it's oddly exhilarating just because the immediacy of it and the way you do feel. I don't play PC games as well. That's another thing. So moving all those things around on the screen is sort of. Yeah, I just found it fascinating that I became quite a ruthless bastard, and I never thought in that situation, because at first you're really like. And that just the whole flipping the switch, bringing the barrier up, buzzing the thing, so you feel like you're at work, and then, I could feel myself sometimes sort of. Yeah, it's weird. It's a completely unique game, and just fascinating, and I'll almost certainly talk about it again.
I'm very happy it exists. It's amazing that a game like that can exist and be. It's quite big now, in terms of people know what it is, and I don't know how far that stretches out outside of my bubble, but enough people are talking about it, enough people have heard about it now. It is on Steam, it's on the front page of Steam. That's cool. And like I was saying before, just even the tactile way that you drag the passport onto a little area, and you bring up the little thing and stamp it and give it back to them. I think that makes a huge difference to how compelling the actual game is. That the way you interact with it is actually strangely fun, because it could just be like a menu, couldn't it? It could be like yes, no, but it's better than that. Yeah, brilliant game, £6. Yeah, so you got Steam then?
I have. I've never had Steam in my life. It's on a Mac, but it's still Steam. I rather like it. It's. I don't know. It's a lot of the things that I thought were so neat about Miiverse, like just the fact that you can jump to a game's dedicated forum straight from the game. I'm just like, that's just wicked. I mean, Steam's pretty fucking neat. Although I can't sort of reap the benefits of it completely because I've only got a Mac. But Papers, Please. I just think everybody should play it. It's really genuinely. Yeah, I mean, really kept me thinking. I was up all night just thinking about the decisions I made and how. And it's really the way the story's crafted is very, very takes a back seat to the game, but everything's dictated by the press, and there's civil rights people have everything that happens in every day is dictated by what's going on in the newspaper. It's just great. It really is terrific.
It's really good. So that was my 4, wasn't it?
Okay, it's my that's my 3. But my number 4 is Rock Band Blitz. My girlfriend just for some reason started talking smack in bed the other day, saying I turned it on the other day and I smashed all your scores, and I turned on. We turned it on. We basically did what we did when the game came out. Non-stop, and just lay in bed, fucking playing it all morning. And it's a hell of a way to spend a morning because I love that game still. It's only been 4 or 5 months since I last played it or so, and I completely forgotten everything. I didn't know what anything was. I didn't know what the multipliers were. I didn't know what any of that stuff was. But 10 minutes and it was all back to normal. Yeah. It was just in an ideal world. In my ideal world, every piece of music ever written would be available to play on, and it would be a phenomenon, and it would be the biggest game of all time, and anything you wanted to any piece of music you wanted to go. I mean, I do wonder if we're ever going to see this kind of game ever again, because that is, Harmonix perfected the art of that genre, and that's the apex of them at their. That's the best thing they have ever done. It's not. I mean, rhythm action games that weren't made by Harmonix, by and large, were fucking crap. I mean, if you try and think of a great rhythm action game, by and large, they don't compare in any way, shape, or form to Frequency or Amplitude or Rock Band Blitz or Rock Band, obviously. And I'm just like, is this the last? Playing it, I get so kind of weirdly melancholic, because I'm just like, this game's going to die with this generation, and people aren't interested in this genre anymore. And if Harmonix aren't creating them, then I'm not really interested either. It's just it's weird. But I know I said this before, but I bought a load of Blink 182 songs a few months ago. I don't like them as a band, but they are the best rock band songs to play on Blitz, because they're consistent note patterns. The drummers are lunatic, so the drum, they're the most fun games to play on the whole game. It's a strategy game, it's a puzzle game, it's a music game, and it's a masterpiece. If you haven't played it, you have to do so. It's amazing. Love it.
Yeah, I had a couple of tracks on it today. In fact, I didn't put it on the list, but I saw it when I was going through my Xbox, and I was like, I always forget it exists, and I see it, and I'm like, oh yeah. Awesome. But I'll never be as good as you.
Well, sad. That's probably true. Yeah,
that's definitely true.
Yeah, all right.
Right, my number 3 is Monaco, The World Is Mine, which was on sale for half price today on Steam. Normally £12 was £6, and I was like, do you know what? I've always fancied it, so yes, I will. And I like it. I played it in co-op, but with randoms. Seemingly, the thing about this is probably not across the board by any stretch, but in fact, it's only my only example is this. But playing with randoms on PC, that people seem to be a bit more decent than they would be if I was playing on console, and a bit smarter as well. It was clear I was playing with 2 other people out of a possible 3 other people. It was clear that me and one dude had just got the game and didn't really know what we were doing, and another guy we were playing with had played it before. So he kind of mentored us through the first couple of levels. If you haven't seen it or played it, it's a top-down, kind of old-school graphics heist game where you can pick one of 4 different classes. One guy can sneak and see guards in the distance. One guy can knock guards out. They're the only 2 that I played as, I believe. One has a monkey that can collect the coins, and another guy does something else. I'm not sure. I think he can pick locks quicker, maybe. And you have to move through these sort of build plans of buildings, embassies, banks, whatever, collecting loot, and then trying to get to the one thing you're trying to steal, all the while avoiding guards, avoiding tripwires and stuff like that. But what the game's really about is what happens when you fuck up, because you will fuck up. It's just a matter of time, whether it's one of you just bungling over a wire or someone running around the corner too quickly and bumping into a guard. And the first couple of levels you can get away with it quite easily, just run away. The guards don't have guns. But after that, when the guards do have guns, if you fuck up and get stuck in the corner, you're going to get killed quite quickly. And then the other guys, everyone needs to escape, right? So someone's going to have to come and revive you. And I had some really hilarious times once I started to understand how the game worked. Just thinking that we'd done something perfectly, managed to sneak all the way through, and then, like I said, just sprinting around the corner. Oh shit, there's a guard. Oh no, he shot my mate. I'm going to try and run back here. Oh no, I've tripped a wire. Now another guy shot me, and then the whole thing just falls apart. All the while, the silent movie music's playing and getting louder contextually. I just thought this would be great with mates if you were chatting. With 3 mates, I think this would be properly funny to play. It was good with the people that I'm playing with. Fair play to those 2 guys, but with mates, it would be. I do think it would be a corker.
Okay, I know the guys that made it said that were really not happy with the Xbox 360 demo and thought that that's the reason that the 360 sales were so poor. Because when I played it, I mean, admittedly I was hungover whenever it was I spoke about it. It didn't make any sense. You escaped from jail and it didn't explain what anything was. So it was impossible for me to get a gauge on if it was any good just as a game, let alone a co-op game. So worth the £6 then, obviously.
Definitely worth £6 if you have, mate. I mean, I've said this before, but I really struggle with co-op games generally because most of the times I can play is during the day, during the work day. I might get the odd little bit here and there, or if I'm reviewing, evenings are tough. So trying to coordinate a co-op game, especially a game like that, which isn't exactly a big release. is almost impossible. But if you are in a situation where you can play with your mates all the time, it's fun. It would be fun. It would be, you'd just be laughing the whole time you played it, because inevitably one of you would fuck up, and it would probably be the same person over and over again. And games like that just work beautifully in co-op. I don't think it's worth playing on your own.
Yeah, no, I mean that much was clear from when I played it, but okay, that's interesting. It's a shame that they were quite vocal about how the Xbox 360 demo. I don't know what was different about it from the
also,
PC
it didn't
demo.
go on sale the right day on Xbox 360.
That's
it was delayed at the last second. Yeah,
that's right.
So they lost all their marketing and review push on it, which is a shame for them. But hopefully it's done all right for them.
It didn't look like the kind of thing that would have sold well on Xbox 360.
I don't think so. I think you're right. I think it's also too esoteric for Xbox, because it doesn't explain itself. The first level of the game is escape from jail, and it doesn't explain itself. And for the first 2 levels, I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. And then the guy because you can chat on PC without using your voice, which is handy as well, quite easily. Yeah. If you don't want to, because when you play with randoms, you don't want to start to hi. You don't want to do that. So, but if you type in, it makes no difference. And the guy just gave us like 3 or 4 sentences that explained what we were doing, why it was a good idea to do this. Yeah. Perfect, really. Okay, cool game. Cool game.
Okay, all right, that's good to know.
I reckon you would actually really like it, which is a shame, seeing the reaction you had to it before.
Oh no, I mean, I admitted it was a half. I mean, I was hungover when I played it. I wasn't really giving it any.
It's not a game to play hungover. Just the colours and the one weird thing about it is. I started to get my head around it after a while, but you can only see as far as your character could see. So say if you're up against a wall and there's a corridor like just above you, you can't see down that corridor until you physically go up and look down the corridor, which can actually make you feel quite claustrophobic. So to do that hungover, where everything's like quite intense anyway, and your neck's tight and everything, your fucking eyes are blurry, and all the colours and that music. Oh yeah, not a game to play hungover at all.
Yeah, I said as much at the time, but it didn't. I nevertheless didn't think that I'd go. If it's on a sale at some point and it's viable and I can get 3 other people to pick it up, then it's possible. But I have to say it's a bit unlikely. Okay, my number 2 is Saints Row 4. I assume that's going to be your number 1, right?
So hold on, your number 3 was Papers, Please,
Papers,
right?
Please, yeah.
So we should do my number 2 to keep the list, the structure going.
All right, yeah, cool.
All right, my number 2 is Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to finish it, but I reckon I'm probably guessing I'm about halfway through. It's really quite something, this game. A lot of people have referenced Journey and what they've been talking about. I get that, because it's definitely leaning more on the kind of experience rather than a game, and if you have to call games, that bollocks. And also, there's no talking in it. There's everyone speaks in this kind of like mishmash hybrid Swedish noise where the odd Swedish word appears, but I'm 99% sure they're not speaking Swedish. Anyway, you play as the 2 brothers, one older and one younger, one on each stick, one trigger each to do their interact. And what starts as a fairly simple tale, your dad's ill, and some like doctor / maester type chap gives you a scroll, but which basically insinuates that you need to climb up a big fucking mountain to save him. None of this is said, but it's fairly obvious that's what you got to do. So you set out on your quest, and the first maybe 45 minutes is just you going through this almost not medieval, but fable-esque town. Feels very sort of Scandinavian, very Nordic. I assume it's based in like a mythical Sweden because it's made by a Swedish team, Starbreeze. And, there's some nice gameplay ideas, and the game kind of pootles along, and it's nice. And I was like, this is good. And then, with the game being Swedish, unsurprisingly, it gets very fucking dark very quickly. And that's when Journey seems like a distant memory, because it is a dark fucking game. Starts to get creepy at first, and then some of the stuff that I've seen just before I had to stop playing, it's like, okay, this is properly quite sinister now. I won't spoil what that is for people wanting to play it, because by all accounts it's a short game, so far be it from me to pull out some of the best stuff and ruin that for other people. But the more I play, the more impressed with it I am. It seems to keep coming up with new ways, because you're controlling it in a completely different way to any game I can think of, right?
Yeah.
And at first you're doing very simple puzzles, like the big brother can hoist the younger brother up, and then he can put, you've done that before. But before long, you're doing kind of feats of not massively difficult, but basically the equivalent of rubbing your tummy and patting your head. You're controlling a game in a way you haven't before, so you're having to do stuff independently with the left and right stick that isn't move and aim camera, which is what we're used to doing. And there'll be stuff like you're using one stick to crank a crank, and the other guy's holding on and moving across some beams or something that are being moved by the crank. So you're using your hands on a pad in ways that you're not used to doing. And it's full of little puzzles, but they all make sense fairly quickly. I never found myself stuck, but it was more like, oh, that's really clever, and oh, that's a really nice touch. And I'm just looking forward to going back to finishing it. I wish I could have done the whole thing through, but I just didn't have quite enough time. But it's really good. I mean, it's really, really good. This just goes to show what happens when a talented team doesn't have to make 40 quid, however many $1 million projects anymore, because of the way that the game like this can be delivered and sold and marketed. And that's only going to get better because they're just clearly, this is a way more personal game to them. I thought they've always made games that have always had a bit of themselves in, be it The Darkness or Riddick, even Syndicate to a way. They've always had games that are a little bit more about them than the most, budget action games, big budget action games. But this is just clearly very, very personal, very, very Swedish, but very. It's just so elegant. It's a very elegant game. I'm a big fan of it so far.
Wow, that sounds right. Yeah, the more I hear about it, the more impressed or intrigued I am. Didn't you say it was 3 hours long?
Apparently, it's 3 hours long, but it doesn't feel like I'm going to feel shortchanged. It's so polished. Yeah. It's it's not like a scruffy game that ends up being 3 hours long. It's so polished. Everything about the world feels so complete and coherent. There's loads of little things that you can do within the space as well. Animals you can interact with, little characters that you can go and have funny moments with, and things like that. In the same way that Journey feels completely worth that money. But so far, I don't even feel. It's not even in my mind about how much it cost. I'm just glad I bought it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. 1,200, isn't it?
Yes, it was when it started getting. First of all, it starts getting not supernatural, just kind of mystical, and I was like, okay, that makes it way more interesting. And then you're like, oh yeah, these Swedish people generally are a bit fucking weird, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. Yeah, because they're awesome generally.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to investigate that. I think. Is there
I think you'll like it. Yeah.
How's it sold?
I don't know. I mean, what's it been out a week? I think it's a week today it's been out at the time of recording it. So I'd be interested. I hope it's done well. I can see it doing really well in a Steam sale in, the end of this year or something like that.
Isn't it Xbox exclusive?
Only for the duration of Summer of Arcade, and then it appears on PSN and on Steam. I would have got it on PC, but I wanted to get it now instead of waiting till the end of the month. Okay. Especially, that'll end up coming out a week before GTA or something, and I was never going to get a chance to play it then.
Yeah, right. Okay, interesting.
But yeah, even if you haven't got time, make sure you pick it up at some point, I'd say. If it does appear a bit cheaper, if you haven't got time right now.
Genuine. Okay, so that was your, what, number 3?
That's my 2.
Number 2. Okay, so my number 2 is Saints Row 4, so it's your number 1, I guess.
My number 1.
All right, well, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I finished the game, the main story of the game. My review is up right now on videogamer.com, along with an article about how Saints Row 4 makes a mockery of the current state of Hollywood comedy. That's what my article was about. I like what they're doing at the moment. You get the short review, and then you pick out something interesting to talk about and do an article on it. So that's what I chose to do. Anyway, where to start, really? Let's just do a quick breakdown of what the game is. Yeah, you play as the president. You're still the boss of the Saints, same guy that you've been since the first game, but you're now the president of the USA. That happens in hilarious circumstances during the first hour of the game. It's been spoiled in various reviews. I'm not going to be the guy to spoil it. I don't want to spoil any of the gags in this game because they are for people to discover on their own. And from there, you become a superhero, basically. You're stuck inside a computer simulation version of Steelport, which is for all intents and purposes, the same steel port from Saints Row 3, but with a bunch of alien shit going on. And also the ability to have superpowers, so you can fucking jump miles up into the air like you can in Crackdown. You can eventually run up the side of buildings. You can eventually almost fly. You can fire fucking elements out of your hands. It turns it into a superhero game. And it is just a constant, relentlessly funny, creative, left field, subversive video game that, were it not for some technical hitches, the odd duff mission and a heinous last boss, would easily have been a 9 out of 10 for me. And I still would highly, highly recommend it to almost everybody, anybody who loves video games. That's my opening gambit on Saints Row 4.
Okay, fair play. I've played probably about 5 hours of it, and it's terrific. I'm not sure yet. Obviously, I'm going to play through the whole thing first, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to prefer it to Saints Row 3, just because Saints Row 3 started off the way all of the other Saints Row games start off, as a fairly sort of standard GTA clone, and it earned the madness. It got more and more mental. I've spoken about how the climax is on the surface of Mars, and from where it started, that's why I love that game so much, because it went far more mad than I thought it would. This starts mad, and it looks like it's going to get even madder as it goes on. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it doesn't half owe a huge debt to Crackdown.
Yes.
Not only because that was basically the same thing, all these superpowers, the jumping and the flying and stuff, but the fact that you level up with these orbs that are scattered around the city, and their placement, weirdly, I mean, it probably has nothing to do with anything, but they're just the way they're under these ledges of buildings, and they're on the back of signs and stuff. They're in exactly the kind of crafty places that they were in Crackdown. I mean, I don't know that might not necessarily have anything to do with each other. It was just if you've played Crackdown, you will be reminded of it constantly playing this. That's not a bad thing, but it's quite an unusual one. It is a little bit buggy. The first thing I did when I started the game was got stuck in a bit of scenery, and I had to restart the whole game from beginning. It doesn't quite belie the fact that it was a DLC package initially, especially during the cutscenes. They're very choppy.
They're choppy. There's some audio issues, and my game crashed fully once, had a save bug that meant I lost 3 hours of progress, had to restart maybe 3 times during missions because it bugged out with objectives and stuff. So yeah, maybe it might be a day one patch situation, but be wary. It didn't really fuck up the game too much for me, even losing the 3 hours, which was a pain, but these things happen sometimes on debug. But yeah, it is rapey.
Yeah, it is. And whenever it saves as well, it can go down to like, the frame rate drops to shocking levels on 360.
Yeah, and it also saves after every orb that you pick up.
Yeah,
so you it's not as smooth as all collecting and Crackdown.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I've laughed repeatedly, and I think it would be really unfair to give away any of the jokes that are in it, or any of the things I've laughed about. I will say that if I've laughed a certain number of times, I've also laughed a certain number of times whilst also saying "for God's sake," because I mean, not in a bad way at all. I mean, just like it goes to places sometimes where you're just like, oh, that's so ridiculously juvenile, but I'm still finding it hilariously funny. Yeah. I've said this about Saints Row 3, and I can't vouch for the competition, so I don't know. You know, I will fight for this guy. I always pick the sort of Cockney Jason Statham voice for my character, because the line delivery of that guy, he is perfect, pitch perfect, and all of the dialogue, they throw in all these English Cockney slang that doesn't fit, and it's all just. I think that's the way to play it. Although I can't. Which one did you use?
Well, I normally pick him, and I have done for the first 3 games. But then the fourth option was just Nolan North, and I just thought that was funny the way they'd written it. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'll pick Nolan North," and unsurprisingly, he's brilliant. He's just as brilliant as he is as Nate Drake. Yeah. So I couldn't know how it is as any of the other guys. Well, I know one's Troy Baker as well, so he's going to be good. Apparently, it's always been Troy Baker. But Nolan North is brilliant. I made his voice really deep, and there's some of the lines are just fucking fantastic.
Is it like relentless? I mean, the thing about the Cockney guy is, I'm sure it's more profane than the other ones. The C word is used all the time.
It's not used that often as Nolan North. No, he swears his head off, obviously, but it's that's used a couple of times in the whole game, I think.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I've only done the first 5. I've laughed pretty much constantly. All of the great chaotic stuff that was in Saints Row 3, or in all the Saints Row things really. It's tank mayhem and insurance fraud, and the Professor Genki games are back, which is just, I love those. I love those games so much. The Flashpoint missions, the sort of gang control equivalent. It's basically the same game with a lot of but with all of these. See, this is my problem with it. Really, is that it's where do they go from here? It's so far. It's turned up so loud and just mad. Saints Row 5, if they do it, they're going to have to continue. They can't go back to the beginning now. That's why it as a DLC pack, it's a separate entity. But now the series has gone essentially insane. Where do they go from here?
I think they'll come up with something. Stuff that happens later on in this game. Some of the stuff that happens later on in this game, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are moments where I just wanted to. I would look left and right in my room. So please, can I just high five someone right now? But there's no one here. I can't. It would be so egregious of me to talk about it. What I will say though is, don't read the Edge review if you're going to play this game, because in a throwaway sentence in that review, they give away probably 7 of the best sight gags in this game.
Oh, what?
Just in a throwaway sentence, they're like, "Oh, you'll be doing this and this and this and even this and this," and it's like, why the fuck would you do that? I won't even mention what happens at the beginning, which is in almost every review.
Yeah,
I'm certainly not going to give away. How dare you?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, you're not. That's not criticism. That's just saying the things that happen.
Yeah. It's like I really like the film critic in The Guardian, but sometimes he just comes out and will say, there's a great line, and here it is. And it's like, why are you spoiling a joke for me, Dick? Yeah. I don't understand that attitude. No, but I'm the same. I went in blind, and everyone else should go in blind, because there is some... It is pretty wild, and I you know, it's going to almost certainly get wilder than that. One thing I'll say is that I've never before have I played a sandbox game where waypoints become completely pointless, because I'd set a waypoint for something and then you just get distracted by all this other stuff to do. You find stuff on the corner. I mean, that's the nature of any sandbox, but something about having all these powers makes them so much more enticing than they would in a previous Saints Row or in Grand Theft Auto. I mean,
all the activities as they were in the older games are way more fun with the superpowers.
Yeah, they are. And some of the guns, I really like the dubstep gun.
Yeah, dubstep gun's amazing.
When you fire it at cars and they start like bouncing up and down, it's wicked.
When people are like body popping as they're dying.
It's just fucking jokes. I love it. I really do love it. I've no doubt that. But you said that the end boss was a bit of a letdown.
The end boss, apparently, basically the game's structured like Mass Effect 2, right? And there are loyalty missions for your crew. Now, a combination of losing 3 hours, of which I did 3 loyalty missions, and not just needing to get to the end of the game to write the review, meant that I didn't do enough loyalty missions. Apparently, the last boss is way less heinous than I had it if you've loyaled up your guys. And if you're playing it on your own back, you'll do them all, because they're all really funny and really creative and brilliant. Whereas the normal side missions are more like go into the city, do a bunch of the activities. They're fine, but they're side missions. But the loyalty missions are proper missions, and you should definitely do them. So yeah, I think the last boss wouldn't be as bad, but it's still... All I'll say is there's a point towards the very end of the game where it hits an ultimate high, and there's nowhere to go from there, and it goes really badly down, and it should have just had the balls not to do a boss fight.
Yeah.
And because the boss fight just ain't... Or if you're going to do a boss fight, just do one that isn't incredibly hard and very, very frustrating. But maybe if you do all the loyalty missions, it won't be as hard as it was for me. It was almost impossible for me. I spent about an hour just doing that and was swearing at the screen.
That's right.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure it won't be as bad for people who do all the loyalty missions. And the good thing is I can go back to the game because I've got some to do and some other stuff to do in the game, which is fun.
Yeah, after the 3 hours, I realised that I am going to do it like Saints Row 3. I'm going to do all of the stuff on the sides, because the side stuff is often as great as the stuff in the story. Well, perhaps not so much, because it is so out there. But yeah, from what I've played, I recommend it. I'm a huge fan of the series anyway, but I definitely recommend it so far.
One thing that I really got from this game is that Volition is just, they feel like they're on our side. Do you know what I mean by that? This is a world at the moment where it's free to play this, in-app purchase this, try and stretch your feeling money this way, day one DLC. Whereas this game just feels like they're the same people as us. You know, they're daft. They like stuff that's hilarious. They understand games. All their parodies, they're not like, there's no mean spirit to any of the parodies or references in their game. They're just born out of love and just having a giggle with the tropes. They know how shit and stupid and large parts of their own game is, and they just laugh at that as well. I'm just so happy that they got Saints Row 3 seemed to be the game that they really tested the water with how far that they could go with letting themselves off the leash, and the audience responded, and they've gone, good, right, this is what we really want to do. And yeah, they've just done it. And it's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, and GTA will show up in many, many ways from a technical point of view, but I still don't think you can't beat it for what it is. It just left me with the smile. Apart from the end boss, I was grinning the whole way through. Yeah,
I have been too. I mean, I think it's going to do really well. There's a bit of a buzz about it all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, it'll do really well. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to stop and hold off and maybe do it on co-op because that's I've never done a game a Saints Row on co-op. Actually, I did the second one. But knowing
I did a chunk of the second one on co-op. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of thinking just for those tank mayhem bits, especially.
Yeah.
It might be worth doing that. But yeah, I'll talk about it next week. I'll have finished it almost certainly because it's fun as fuck. That's my number 2. That was your number 1. Okay, so my number 1 is Payday 2 on the Xbox 360.
Okay.
You haven't played this, no?
I haven't played this, but I know it's the game a lot of people have been talking about over the last week, and I've been interested in playing it, definitely.
Yeah, this is a difficult one for me because I love how excited and how much people are really loving this game. And I'll say straight away, if you were a fan of Payday the Heist, you will love this. It's more of the same with a few changes and a vastly expanded customization suite. But for all intents and purposes, it's the same game. Did you ever play Payday the Heist?
No, I was aware of it, but I never played it.
Yeah, I played it a little bit. I wasn't a massive fan of it. It was fine. It was passable. I didn't love it. But if you loved the first one, I'm no doubt that you will love the second one. I didn't care for it very much, and I have to say there's been a little bit of there's been a bit of noise on the internet, nothing substantiated, but people were saying that there is a vast difference between the PC version and the 360 version. That goes without saying, but it's not. Apparently, people are saying that it's not just in terms of visuals. Right. It's just a lesser game in all departments, from what I'm hearing. And I played the 360 version, so that may play a part in it. My first problem with it is that, like the first game, you have to have an immense amount of time on your hands. Leveling up is a very, very long-winded process, and it's the kind of game where you have to grind. And things like that put me on the back foot straight away. I'm just like, I don't want to, get into a near World of Warcraft situation for a co-op shooter. No. Some people clearly love that and they respond to it, and people have told me that they level up far faster than I'm leveling up. But it's a long-winded process, and for example, you don't get anything. It drip feeds things that you need so slowly. You don't get any armor at all until you hit level 12, which took me a good few hours.
Right.
And so there's that. And you get things slowly, and it clearly been designed to be played over the course of months rather than days or weeks. The other thing is that the game is very, very slow. And when I say slow, what I mean is basically you go into a situation, whether it's a bank robbery or a jewel heist, or there's all these different scenarios. Inevitably, what you have to do involves a hell of a lot of waiting. So if you go into a bank, you'll set up a drill, and then you'll sit there and you'll have to wait for 5 minutes or more than that. If you want to go and empty a safety deposit box, you look at a dial turning for 20 seconds, and it's just everything involves waiting. And the most frustrating thing about the game is that I wanted to buy all I wanted. Forget about extra guns, modifications, all that stuff. All I want to do is bypass waiting for everything to happen. And right. You can get C4 and stuff, but it's one of the last things you unlock. So you have to grind and grind and grind. So it's a lot of waiting around. It's a game that I admire a hell of a lot because it's about as close as you can get to a simulator of what it would be like to be in a bank heist. Because you have to be in constant. It's near military, the amount of communication that you have to be in and cooperation. You have to be in constant communication because the second someone steps out of line, things can fuck up. I have a lot of admiration for it. If things have gone to shit and there's bullets flying all over the place, and you think I'm going to run to the getaway van and just lob a bag of money or gold in there. If someone's not covering you, you're going to go die and you'll fuck the mission up.
Right.
That's what I think people love so much about it. It's because you don't stop talking to each other, otherwise you'll fail. And there's something quite invigorating and exciting about that. I played this game for several hours with a bunch of people who weren't talking to each other, and I played it for a lot more time with a bunch of people who were talking to each other. A bunch of 3 French guys who, for my benefit, spoke English, and just lovely fucking guys. We played for hours and hours.
Oh, nice.
The experience of that was just, I was like, there's so much of what the appeal of the game is. I couldn't derive any sense of reward from succeeding in the game because it's just there are far too many breaks in it. For example, we executed the perfect entrance into a bank, and I executed a silent kill that no one should have heard, and inexplicably everyone in the bank was instantaneously alerted, and they let the alarms went off, and then it was there. As soon as a mission goes pear-shaped, you're fighting waves of enemy AI. That's it. And they get harder and harder and harder. The AI is absolutely appalling. And again, apparently this is not the case on the PC, but on the 360 one, I had SWAT teams shooting into empty rooms. I had them walking in backwards to rooms. And there was this thing that happened to me 3 times in which it would be a little bit quiet. The alarms were going off. It should have been chaos. We should have been sort of in the middle of chaos, and nothing happened. So I'd either step into a room or step just to have a look outside of the premises we were in, and there'd be 3 guys standing there as if they're posing for a photo, and as soon as I step in front of them, whoa, whoa, they'd all shoot me, and then I'd immediately go down. And I'm just like, what is that? It's just buggy as hell. The beauty of the game is that you can, unlike the predecessor, you can stealth things up, but when we did manage to succeed, I didn't get any satisfaction from it because you know that the rules can just be broken by the game itself. So I was just like, it is really unsatisfying when it's a combat game. The gunplay is really floaty, and as I've said earlier, I'm really done with fighting waves and waves of AI enemies. I'm really not interested in that. There's some really good systems that have come over from the first game. I mean, there's a crazy, it's set in La La Land, obviously, because if one of your guys gets downed and you can't revive him, he basically gets taken by the police, and you can have him back if you trade him for a hostage. They'll just let you walk back into the bank, into the chaos. I mean, it's mental, but it does work in the context of the game sort of quite well. But the way that they allow you to do this, again, this is another thing that the game just did on a handful of occasions. I was just like, that's just pissing me off. Is that despite the fact that you're surrounded and there's all of these police outside, there's just pedestrians who can just walk in off the street, and then you can take them hostage and they go, hey, I want my mate back. I mean, it's just the game's full of instances where I'm just like, this is not satisfying. If the foundations were more rigid, I just couldn't derive any satisfaction from it. When we did things well, I was just like, that was great fun, but it could have failed. And when we do fail, it's going to be all the more annoying. Another one thing that's very, very good about it, and it was another thing that was good about the first one, is that the end of the mission, the difficulty of it is dictated by how greedy you are. And every single time, no matter what scenario no matter if everything's gone to hell and there's police everywhere, or whether you've managed to stealth it up, you always think, I'll go back in there for a bit more. I can go and grab another bag full of money, or I'll go and get one more bag of Coke. And and that's brilliant because it's the way. In one instance, one guy said, I'm just gonna go and get this. And we're like, no, the fucking getaway van's around the back. We've got to go fucking get away. We lost the mission because of him, and we all fucking berated the shit out of him. And I was like, that's brilliant, because that's what would happen. You can imagine that happening in a real heist. Like, you dickhead went back for more money, and now we're all in the clink. So I can understand the appeal of this game big time. There were too many things wrong with the 360 version. But coordinating, constant communication, that's beautiful. It's brilliant when it works like that. But the game itself, I just found it really irritating. The HUD's amazing. All 4 players you can see on the bottom of your screen at all times. You can see how much ammo they've got, how much health they've got, and if they're doing something, you can see the progress dial, so you know exactly. You don't have to ask, do you need this, do you need that? It's all on your screen. That's brilliant also. And it's, did you actually, you didn't play the first one at all, no?
No, not at all.
Another thing that forces you to communicate is that if you're the guy that carries the ammo, you have one ammo bag and each of you can use it one time, or it can be used by one person 4 times.
Okay.
But after that, it's gone. You're not going to get any more ammo. The same with the health pack. So if you put that down too early or put it down at the wrong time, you're going to screw yourself. So again, it's another thing that forces you to communicate. I don't know why there aren't more heist simulators in this world, because there really should be. I want to love this. The thought of this game, the idea behind it, the concept of it, it's just exciting, so exciting. But the execution really let me down. I know a lot of people aren't having these problems. It's out on 360 today, so maybe we'll see. I will possibly go back to it and see what it's like with a different set of friends and levelling up a little bit. I mean, that long-windedness is a real problem for me, because it's designed to. It seems like they've taken a game that was originally £15, made it £30, and the way they've done that primarily is make it seem longer by forcing you to level up over the course of a very long time. And I should just say, completely worthless as a single-player game. Completely worthless.
So I hear you.
Your AI people almost literally do nothing. If you get gunned down, they'll help you. If you need to fix the drills, that's the other thing that's annoying. The drills, as long as they take 5-10 minutes, they keep breaking down, so you have to keep running in and fixing them. They won't do that. The cops in one mission keep shutting the electricity off when you're trying to send this data, blah, blah, blah. They won't help and do that. And if there's a mission where you have to carry 8 bags of coke from a van to a getaway car, you're going to have to do all 8. It's basically, it's not playable as a single-player game at all. And I found it overwhelmingly tedious after a little while. I have to be honest. I'm so thrilled to see that people are enjoying it as much as they have. But it left me really disappointed. I will play more though, and I'll let you know. But for the moment, it left me really underwhelmed. And I did in excess of 20 hours I've played. So I think,
Jesus,
I've given it more than enough of a shot. I think.
Yeah, it does sound really interesting, but. My concern is everything you said, obviously, and I've talked about this before. I'm not going to have the ability to play it properly, so that's why I've avoided it. Everything about it seemed right up my street, but I know practically that I'm not going to be able to get. I can't be one of those guys anymore. It used to be, where you come home from work, and then what do? You jump online with your mates and you play the same game Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah.
That ain't my life anymore, which is fine, but that's just the way it goes. So that game, Borderlands, a few others, just more so than a Battlefield or a Call of Duty, because I can jump on when other people are on. But it doesn't need to be. You don't need to be on the same level. All the stuff. And with co-op, it needs to be more coordinated. Yeah. And playing with randoms on PC, nobody speaks on their voice really. I don't think so. I would get it on PC, obviously. Yeah. So I just don't think that game's going to happen. But thankfully, I can heist it up in GTA next month. So
see, that's it's made me think of GTA as well, and that's what I'm waiting for. But even if you could schedule a routine sort of once a week to play it or whatever, the fact that in order to get decent stuff, to even get body armor, and that's the most frustrating thing, because the first few hours are you just getting gunned down instantly, and it's just like, the first body armor you get is level 12. One more thing I'll say about it with regards to leveling up: you get almost nothing XP wise if you fail. So in one instance, when I was playing with these guys who weren't talking, we spent 2 hours doing 3 different missions and failing all 3 at the very last minute. No. And we got no XP, so you can't even level up that way. I was like, that's just 2 hours of my life wasted because this game is a bastard. I appreciate the difficulty in the game, but outside of it, in the with regards to dishing XP, the fact that you're not progressing for all of that work, that's ridiculous. They give you like a tiny amount, so you can't level up. 2 hours where it's really, it's brutal. It's for people who buy, on PC you can buy it as a 4-pack. Those people are going to love it. It's made for them. I'm going to play some more, but I couldn't forgive the bugs more than anything. And I don't know whether they're on the PC also, but on the Xbox 360 at the current time, they were really, really quite fucking shocking in places. And that led to the rest of the game not being rewarding. So there you go.
Bad times.
2 right, 2 up where?
Right. Well, that's it in the bag, isn't it? In the fucking holder all the way to the van. Cheers for listening. At John Denton, at Chet Roivas, at Chet and Johns on the Twitter. Give us your game suggestions. You know you want to. Or why did I say that? Yeah, give us your game suggestions. Check out the YouTube as well. Chet and John's on YouTube. What else do you need to do? Give us a review on iTunes if you want. That always helps. Talk about us to your friends. Fucking mount your friends. Do whatever you need to do to get through to next week.
Take it easy. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
What are we waiting for?
We're not walking in there until you promise to play nice.
Are you serious?
Repeat after me. Don't fuck with the mayor.
Look, sweetie, I'll fuck with whoever I want to fuck with. I mean, who does this guy think he is?
Viola, is this the kid you were talking about?
Burt fucking Reynolds?
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 Burt fucking Reynolds? Burt fucking Reynolds?
Very, very bad. Yeah, you pick. It seems to be designed for people who let me go back. I used to love wrestling, as you know, but I really loved it when I was about 16. So what, like 15 years ago, whatever. And this was around the time when WWF Warzone was coming out, and the whole big thing back then was having like edit modes and creator wrestlers and all this sort of stuff. It was around the time where people were starting to understand the fakeness of wrestling and getting into the backstage stuff and how it all worked. Anyway, this game has clearly been made by people who are of that mindset and have still carried it through. So straight away, even in the trial, there's like an edit mode and a ton of options when you pick which match type you want. It's like a fucking page of options that you can pick. Why though? Because the game is utter shit. Utter shit. Basically unplayable. It makes Pacific Rim look like the new UFC game that's coming out next year. It's two guys having a fucking wrestle, strong grapple, light grapple. You know, you've played a wrestling game before, but they don't, when they circle the ring, they don't look at each other. So I thought when they're facing each other in the middle of the ring, I thought, well, this is terrible, but it's okay. But then as I walked up and the other guy walked down, we were both just facing in completely different directions. And I thought, pretty bad. And then it's 240 points, not 80. So get fucked.
Can it support 4-player local?
I think it might be able to. But it's just, you can't play it. So, yeah, don't do it. Buy a SmackDown game for £1 from CEX, an old one, and do that instead.
All right, well, I might look into that because, I don't know.
Oh, it's bad.
Is it, though? I don't know. I'm so much more forgiving of those. I mean, it must be so... I've seen games that I know people would just immediately not give... How long did you play it just for the duration of the trial?
Yeah, I played one match.
Oh, okay.
It operates the same sort of system as SmackDown, where you do different variety of moves and you build up a meter and then you can do a finisher. You know, it's admirable. I couldn't do it, but it kind of made me feel like I was going to vomit.
Okay, yeah, a lot of those games will do.
Crosshair. Yeah, I think it's actually a shit, but whatever. And then a bunch of stuff comes in from all 4 corners of the screen. It's like a flat Geometry Wars style deal. And then you're invulnerable to that stuff for 2 seconds, and then you're not. So as soon as you become vulnerable, you have the opportunity to press A, and that blows you up basically, and creates a wave. And then the idea is to get that wave to hit all the debris around you, and then that will cause a chain reaction. And if you get it right, you can make an explosion that goes on for ages and ages and ages, and that starts to create music. And you know, like the first little things will just be a little and then the more baddies that fall into the explosion start to play proper tunes. Not tunes, but like actual instruments. It sounds a bit like when you're mashing a button in Res. And yeah, it's strangely compelling. And then when the explosion dies down, you stop, and then you pick up a few power-ups and you do it again, and you can play it for ages in the main mode. It's cool. It's a cool game. If it was like available for 69p or something, which I don't think it is, I would recommend it. And if they made a new version for some reason that looked really nice, as this did when it came out, it doesn't anymore. Again, it's cool. I'll always support the Miz, but I don't think I'll ever play it again.
Yeah, I remember when that game came out, there was so much buzz about it, and then I played the trial, and I was like, "That's rubbish." It really wound me up. I think I probably played it more than once, and it was. Oh God knows how much it was, 800, I suppose. But I remember thinking there was no way I could take a gamble on it. So
yeah, I remember I lost a few hours to it with Tom back in the day, but it was an exercise in just emptiness, really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I've never had any desire. I'd completely forgotten about that game, and I've got no desire to check it out again.
Yeah, it just shows how old the Xbox is.
Yeah, really, I was thinking.
That's old as shit.
Yeah, if you were living with Tom, fuck, that's ages ago. Christ.
Yeah, that's before I met my wife. How crazy is that?
Those dark Scandinavian weirdos.
Hello and welcome to episode 75 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me, as usual, is John Denton.
What is love?
Every week, John and I go through the 10 games we've been playing over the past 7 days. Number 10s are the games we played the least. Number 1s are the games we played the most. That is it, John. Let's do this.
Starting strong. Coin Dozer, iOS.
Oh, yeah.
Free. One of my freebies just to fill out the list on the free app list, whatever you call it. I don't care. Coin Dozer. You know those games in the arcade where you stick the coin in and they shuffle the coins along that look amazing when you're 5 years old. It's just as pointlessly shit as those things, but more so because it costs more money. It's free, but the whole idea is that you put your own money into it to try and get more coins to drop down, and more pointless because obviously you can't win any money or little snacks or whatever the fuck, or watch, whatever the hell is supposed to be in those things. Even after 3 minutes, I just turned it off and deleted it straight away. I don't know why I downloaded it. I don't know what. Some part of me thought it was going to be good.
But I mean, how did you come across that? That's like years old.
Oh, is it?
Coindozer used to drive me insane because my girlfriend, who's she knows what she's talking about, she could not stop playing that, and I'd always look over and be like, "What are you doing, Coindozer? Just tapping a screen." Honestly, it used to drive me insane. But
no way.
How did you just?
It's on the free games. It's like number 12 or 13 or something. And I knew what the top 10 was, like Simpsons, Tapped Out, and Clash of Clans, all that normal shit, Temple Run. So that was the first one I hadn't heard of that looked all right. I mean, it didn't look all right, but I thought, why not?
Wow, I can't believe people are still downloading that crap.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You're part of the problem. Okay, all right. Well, my number 10 is an Xbox Live indie game called Dawn of the Fred.
I saw this.
Oh, did you really?
I've got a few XBlig this week.
Oh, right. So you didn't play this one?
No. I had a feeling that you were going to.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's new in the last 7 days, so it was at the top of the XBlig marketplace. The first thing that comes up is a question, some kind of question like, do you want to take on the undead and see if you can live to tell the tale? And I was like, well, not really. I could really do without taking on any more undead as long as I live, thanks. It's a top-down co-op shooter. It's actually not too bad. You kill zombies, waves of zombies, and they drop gems, and you have to avoid these mummies, which are really hard. So there's a little bit of strategy involved, but there are some fairly decent ideas in it to sort of embellish the co-op a little bit. So there's vending machines, and you can buy either health or ammo once a round, and only one of you can do it. So you have to communicate and make sure. There are other vending machines, but getting to them is often deadly. So it's actually quite well thought out, and it's only 80 Microsoft points. Supports full-player co-op. It's just another game where you kill waves of zombies, and those can just go fuck themselves at the moment. I need a break from that shit.
Yeah, no doubt.
But this is not a bad game, by any stretch of the imagination.
Who's Fred? Is he the guy that you play as?
The main character, yeah. Yeah, and then there's some other people or some shit, I don't know. But yeah, it's honestly, it's as far as those things go, it's not a bad one at all.
Do you reckon Shaun of the Dead was ever called Dawn of the Fred at one point?
I don't think, well...
Could have been.
I have nothing to say to that. I have no idea.
Think about it.
All right, we'll do.
Right, my number 9 XBlig game as well is Action Arcade Wrestling 2. Pretty sure that's what it's called. Could be called anything, to be honest. Yeah, on the new Xbox Live indie game list, same deal as you, Finding Dawn of the Thread. Thought, wrestling game, this can't be bad. Nah, I was wrong.
Yeah,
it's very bad. Very.
That to you. I might look at that one though, just out of interest.
All right.
Okay, my number 9 is A Ride into the Mountains on iOS.
Oh, you went back to it.
I did, yeah. We spoke briefly about it last week. We thought we had a problem. I had a problem, I should say, remembering where the guy is made by one guy, and I forgot where he was from. He's actually from Taiwan. Taiwan. And yeah, it's a very good action game. We didn't mention either. There's actually quite a nice story, very simple story about a young boy. He's riding his horse up into these mountains, and he keeps taking breaks to ponder his journey, and then he learns new skills.
That's right, yeah.
And it's actually the longer you play it, the better it gets. I had intended to finish it because it's one of the way the story's delivered. I kind of think part of the reason it's been so revered by people like Terry Kavanagh is that it's building to something. There's clearly a story of what's going on. I wasn't able to complete it because, god damn, it gets hard. It gets really hard. At first I thought, oh god, difficulty spike, but then another one, and another one, and another one. The bosses are so difficult. So it's not. It didn't frustrate me, but it was way too time consuming for me to finish. But hopefully I'll finish it next week, and I still recommend it. 69p. It's genuinely just the mechanics of pulling the bow back, hitting the focus, and then it's tight, very very tight controls. And genuinely challenging. I still recommend it, but I haven't finished it, so I'll speak about it again next week probably.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go back to it, unfortunately, but I will do. It's still on the phone, so yeah, that's a recommendation from me, to be honest.
Yeah, genuine.
Ride into the hills.
That's fine.
Right, my number 8 is Every Extend Extra Extreme, a game that I've completely forgotten existed. Did you know about this game?
Me too. Isn't that like an Xbox Live Arcade game from like a long time ago?
It is, yeah. I was just doing the whole thing where you go through your list of games, and I remember playing it quite a lot when I lived with a mutual friend of ours, one of the guys who played that Pain Station with you, Tom. It's a Misoguchi game, so that was the reason I bought it in the first place. It's basically pointless, but it's strangely compelling nonetheless. What happens is you play as basically a